Hey guys, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube video. So what I do is every once in a while, usually every 1,000 members, I go on the Facebook group. We're almost at 17,000 members. So great to see that. A lot of great interaction, people understanding acceptance. And I do a post, what do you want to see? And one of the questions I got asked was, so if you're watching this is for you. How do I apply unconditional self-life and other acceptance in some practical terms? How do you actually apply that in your life to scenarios? How does that bleed over into your work, your relationships, not even specifically relating to ROCD? How does it bleed over into anger and decreasing your belief systems around, life isn't fair and universal deservingness and stuff like that? So don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and I will basically go through a couple scenarios. I think practical application. I'm a bit, anyone that knows me in real life, I'm always talking about practicality and practical application. There's a lot of things out there with OCD that really don't matter, like such as understanding about the structures of the brain, understanding neuroanatomy and neurophysiology, understanding the chemical imbalance theory, specifically to OCD and anxiety. We could easily say, oh, there's a downregulation of the prefrontal cortex and an upregulation in the limbic system. Like, all that is great, and you could learn that. But understanding that that's never going to actually lead to breaking down your fears, that is one of the most important things that all of the providers are getting wrong because they don't know any better, right? It's not their fault. This is all still pretty new. We're talking last 5 to 10 years, people are really recovering and not even coasting. So we live in a great time period. So I'm going to kind of go outside the realm. Let's actually start with an OCD one. Let's start with sensory motor OCD. So breathing, blinking, salivating, swallowing, heartbeat, the big five. But it could be about any bodily sensation, hyper aware of your consciousness. It can kind of tie into solipsism and existential OCD, hyper awareness of something related to a health OCD, which is then tied to death. So let's break it down with a sensation. Okay, unconditional life acceptance. Example, fear of fear. Let's say I went back to boom, boom, or, it felt like this water was being poured underneath my tongue all day long. That would suck. But it wouldn't be the end of the world. It wouldn't be the catastrophe I put on that. So I have to look at it in a basic sense, where I learn these tools from rational thinking in the books on the reading list. If I was hyper aware of my sensations for the rest of my life, I would definitely not like it. I'd probably have moments where I was a little bit more down, maybe feeling a little bit more depressed, but I could learn how to pull myself out and continue with my life structure and go towards the passion and goals I have in my life, even if I never can reach those passions and goals. Realizing that I can't, attaching my identity to sensory motor, I'm a person with sensory motor. No, you're just a person with OCD who's suffering with sensory motor OCD right now. Understanding that is such a key part of the recovery process that once you realize that you don't actually need it to be gone, that's where recovery actually is. That's a great example of unconditional life acceptance. Unconditional life acceptance in a really severe case would say, there's life will always more than likely have severe social injustices, starvation, tyranny, wars, famines, all sorts of stuff like this. And it is so unfortunate. And we can work towards eliminating those on a huge global scale. But there's 2 billion people right now without access to clean water or electricity. And we don't even realize that. I mean, literally 1 to 2 billion of the 8.5, whatever it is right now, do not have access. If you actually look at the bottom 4 billion and what they live off a day, it's like $1 a day. It might be bottom 3 billion. So we're never going to be able to rid the world of all that, more than likely. Can we make more advancements? Sure, but I don't know if it's going to be gone forever. Let's look at work. Work is a really big one. I could do an unconditional other acceptance and an unconditional life acceptance. Let's say you're working on a project with someone, and that project in your IT firm is that person in that project isn't doing anything, right? They're not actually contributing, but then they're really charismatic, they're outgoing, and they really get all the praise, right? Oh man, let's use me. Nick's doing so great, man. That project's amazing. But maybe there's Bob, and Bob's really quiet, and he's really doing all the brunt work. He's doing all the statistical analysis. He's putting all the paperwork together, and I'm kind of just the talker. And Bob might go, that's so unfair. Fuck Nick. Nick's an asshole. And it's understandable why you would think that. But in time, you can realize, look, what can I do about this situation? Maybe I go to my boss and I say, hey, man, Nick is not really putting in a lot of work, and maybe they don't believe you. There's no universal law that states that they must believe you. And that would be frustrating and that would be undesirable, but you could learn to accept that. Hardships in work. We have a lot of irrational beliefs right now about work-life balance and about boundaries. I don't use the word boundaries. These are words I don't use in my vocabulary. Boundaries, work-life balance, and burnout. They're nonsense terms. They do way more harm than good. The reason why is because we now have a society that believes that they need to have the perfect work environment. And I'm not saying don't take care of yourself. That's not what I'm saying, but it's usually a lot less than what we think it is. So people will go, I'm burned out because I'm working 30 hours a week. You're not burned out. What's going on is more than likely not burned out. There are people out there, I have friends that have 6 kids, 7 kids, 4 kids, homeschool all of them, build construction companies, have serious hardships going on, health problems, and they don't look at it as the OCD context. And what's happening is, and forget OCD, again, taking care of yourself is great, but it has been overused where we have a generation of people that don't want to work. This is a big problem. We have a generation of people that don't want to put the work in for the community. We have and you don't have to do that, but there's some great benefits to that. You can go live in a tree if you want in the middle of nowhere. That's nothing. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying the ideologies behind why people don't want to work is a problem. Life isn't fair, and you don't deserve to be at the top right when you start your job. Hard work, persistence, consistency, delaying instant gratification, these are all the most important things when it comes to life progress. This is a fact, a very strong anecdotal fact that we see. Again, and I have to say, if you want to go on vacations, go on vacation. Spend the money how you want to spend it. It's your money. You want to do risky things. Not the best thing probably to do, but do it. I mean, always being risky. Life is risk. Jim Rohn's, one of my favorite quotes by Jim Rohn. He's like, being born is risky. But some people are so risk adverse and they play it so safe. And their whole life goes by and they might think, my whole entire life went by and I didn't do anything. I didn't travel. I didn't travel alone. I didn't go out on those dates. I didn't try that new food. I didn't play that instrument. I didn't work to feel discomfort and all those things. That's a huge problem that we're all facing right now because of the societal beliefs that we've been kind of pushed on TikTok and Instagram. Listen, and I always talk about that. Instagram, social media is great. Unconditional life acceptance, it's there. But balance is key. You might have to, am I not really that good at balancing this? Unconditional self-acceptance. Hey, look, I don't like the way I'm balancing that. Let's look. Let's be solution-based and not problem-based. Humans naturally revert to a problem like, oh, this sucks. This is the worst thing ever. Instead of, wow, this is unfortunate. How can I fix to change this? And going that with that solution-based. It's not easy because you're going to be uncomfortable a lot. Life is about humans feel discomfort, pain, emotional discomfort. We're not even talking about the depersonalization, derealization, physical symptoms of anxiety, groinal responses, all that comes with OCD. I'm talking about, as Rob made a post, almost all of human life can be boiled down to not wanting to feel discomfort. Countries looking at each other leaders. I don't like that. I can't stand the way they're doing that. Attack the country, for an example. Religious context could be the same. Look back at history. Look at all the way people's died with Genghis Khan, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the Civil War, all the stuff, the things that people are doing because they can't handle discomfort. They believe they can't, but they can. One of my favorite quotes by Ray Dalio, who owns a huge, I believe, hedge fund company in New York called Bridgewater. He says, and I follow his Instagram, he's great. He's very stoic in a lot of ways. He says, radical open-mindedness is a great way to live your life. I don't agree with a lot of things people say about certain topics, such as socialism, communism, whatever it is. I don't always agree with those, but I'm willing to sit down and listen to you, although I don't agree with you. Remember, agreement doesn't mean acceptance. That's a huge part of this. Relationships. Let's go into relationships. Oh boy, this is a big one. We've been spoon-fed, the younger generation. Younger generations are very impressionable, right? You're 12, 11, 12. You don't even know you're fucking alive. You don't even know what's going on, right? You have no idea that other people are paying for everything. You might have a slight idea at 12 and 13, but you really don't know until you leave the house and you're out on your own, which has great benefits. Falling on your face, getting up with the mud in your face, thinking, whoa, that sucked, is the best way to learn than being handed everything. I know because I grew up very fortunate. I'm happy for my lifestyle, but I had to learn the hard way, which is okay. You cannot change the other person ever. If that thought's in your mind, that thought's got to go. You can't change anyone. All you can do is accept the other person. Realize you don't have to agree with every trait. There's a lot of irrational beliefs out there about unconditional other acceptance. This is how you apply that. You're going to like every single trait about your partner. I don't know where that came from, but that is nonsense. It's nonsense. You're not going to like every single trait about the person you're with. There's things I don't like about Erica sometimes, and there's things she doesn't like me about sometimes. Sometimes I can be abrasive, right? And I can be like, look, we're doing it this way, which is not good. And I've gotten really good at that, and she doesn't like that. Just how I think sometimes I think people can be too empathetic and too compassionate, and there's no tough love. I think that's a problem too. This is why balance is key in understanding what situations need more tough love, what situations need more compassion and empathy, blending those together, and there's no blueprint. It all looks different from person to person. What's their background? What's their cultural background? What's their economic background? What's their family background? What's their perspectives on life? Getting in there, changing perspectives and everything like that is key. So you can't change the other person. And the other person is never going to cater to you all the time. And if they do, they're probably going to hate you for it. That's the reality of it. That's just the reality of life. So we have no control over other people the way we think we do. Many people in society have tried serious injustices to control mass amounts of people, and it's almost never worked out in the long run, and terrible acts have happened, and stuff like that. So that's some of the ways you can apply acceptance. Maybe I'll end with another OCD one. Let's look at POCD and harm OCD. You're never going to be able to change anyone's opinions on the way they view it. If people view POCD or harm OCD acts and attach, that person is evil, they're a piece of shit, they're terrible, they're going to hell. We don't have to, that's the way it is. That's part of the recovery process from POCD and harm OCD, is realizing that we can't control the other people's opinions. All we can do is change our opinions, move towards our worst case scenario, and always understand agreement doesn't mean acceptance. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, if you're interested in the webinars, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com. We hope to see you there. They are a lot of fun. And yeah, just keep working on recovery, read the books on the reading list, break down your fears, realize you don't have to have your foot on the gas for recovery all the time. There's a lot of stuff out there. You must work on recovery all day. No, you don't. That's absolute nonsense. It's trying to force the way. It doesn't work like that. We know it. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, have a great day.